Hi, my name is Sean, and welcome to Come On Man, That's a Conspiracy Theory. And this is episode number 6. And episode number 6 is going to focus on what? The Chinese social credit scoring system. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may have not heard of it. So I'm going to do a deep dive on the social credit scoring system just to introduce it, what it is, and how it's going to potentially impact all of us. Not even potentially. That is the goal. It's been beta tested out of China. It's working swimmingly well there. And number one, what's the purpose? The purpose is for behavior modification. So behavior modification is defined as the alteration of behavior patterns through the use of such learning techniques as biofeedback and positive or negative reinforcement. Oh, just like the way you do with a kid. You know, if any of you have children, child does something good, you give them, a treat. They don't, you give them a punishment. So that's the concept of behavior modification. So in China, this has already been rolled out with various other mechanisms that are in place as a social experiment, and I'll get to that as well. But if you saw on the homepage, you see this picture, or it's actually a video. I'm actually logged into Netflix here. It's of a very popular series on Netflix. It's called Black Mirror, as you see there. And there's an episode there. It's called Nosedive. Highly suggest you watch Black Mirror episode Nosedive. And if you see here, it shows this girl, Lacey, and she's got a 4.243. That is her current social credit score. Essentially, this entire episode is taking you on a journey of this girl and her interactions on a daily basis, and how she is all trying to get that score. Poor girl, because you get more clout. We already see that, right? Clout. We got, what was the concept called? Clout chasers. So if you get a higher score, you get more clout. You get better homes, things of that nature. Sounds very Hollywood. It's not Hollywood. The art and the life imitating art, and art imitating life, it's already here. It's already here. It's already implemented. It is in China currently. And let me take you on a journey. The journey is going to be that this has been in the works for China for a very long time. So I would like to show this evidence. I'm going to take you to a New York Times article. It's called From a China Traveler, written by David Rockefeller. I will get to that name. August 10th, 1973. From a China Traveler, so that you can see that's the actual New York Times article, and right here is the highlighted portion. I want to show you a specific quote that I think would be very fruitful. So this is what he says. He says, the social experiment in China under Chairman Mao Zedong, Mao's leadership is one of the most important and successful in human history. One of the most important and successful in human history. How extensively China opens up and how the world interprets and reacts to the social innovations and lifestyles she has developed is certain to have a profound impact on the future of many nations. Well, what was the date of this again? Let's just make sure. I almost thought it said 1973. Let me just... August 10th, 1973. Wow, that's like 50 years ago. My goodness. They've thought about all this that much in advance? Who is David Rockefeller? David Rockefeller was an American banker. He died March 20th, 2017. Rockefeller is a very, very wealthy family. The Rockefeller family was started by John D. Rockefeller, was an American business magnate and philanthropist. He is widely considered the wealthiest American of all time and the richest person in modern history. That is his grandfather, David Rockefeller's. He is the son of John Davison Rockefeller Jr. He's the only son of John D. Rockefeller, so they would call him Jr. David Rockefeller actually had an interesting connection here. He had ties to the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. Rockefeller was acquainted with the Central Intelligence Agency Director Allen Dulles and his brother Eisenhower Administration Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, who was an in-law of the family. Since his college years, it was in Rockefeller Center that Allen Dulles had set up his World War II operational center after Pearl Harbor, liaising closely with MI6. Interesting. Okay. So he knows of this social experiment happening in China. He also has connections to the CIA. Confirmed. And let's go to the Chinese social credit scoring system. I would like to provide you, actually, this is a really great documentary done by Truth Stream Media. Shout out to them. They've always been at the forefront of truth as well. And I want to give them credit because they did put together a very nice 38-minute documentary called What's Your Social Credit Score? I just want to show you some snippets. I'd like for you to take a look at it and let me know your thoughts on it.
Brother, this will be a world with no more personal experiences, only transactions for the social credit system.
This knows every person, every bike, every car, every bus.
That's because it essentially turns every public interaction into a transaction where points can be earned or lost.
Imagine a society where everything you do, everything you say, and everything you buy is controlled and evaluated by the authorities.
1984.
The government is tracking citizens' behavior from smoking on a train to jaywalking.
Massive centralized database makes it possible for authorities and some private companies to identify nearly anyone by capturing their face.
If you do something bad, you get points docked. If you do something good and you happen to be spotted, you get a boost.
Scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip. A person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950.
The country already has an estimated 176 million cameras.
Everywhere she goes, Oh Young Hallyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is.
Yeah. They're going through people's chat histories, like on WeChat and stuff, to look for potential messages and stuff.
那么其实政府已经掌握了我们很多资料，然后政府方面也掌握了一些我们个人信用，就比如说是否已经接。
I talked about this, big data. It's all about big data. As someone who's worked in technology for 24 years, as a matter of fact, I worked on one of the most popular big data gathering tools, and that's Splunk, where I aggregate a bunch of logs to a centralized sorter of logs, so to say, and you can actually create shortcuts as to like sifting through the data, making the data more digestible. This is all going into some centralized repository, and it's being sifted through like machine learning, artificial intelligence, so on and so forth. And there's a Wired magazine article, and it was done on December 14th, 2017. It's titled, Inside China's Vast New Experiment in Social Ranking. Social experiment, Rockefeller. Social experiment, Wired. You're starting to see that it's a social experiment. So you see we have a guy up here with his feed, 547, 00. You don't want to be a 0, right? Because then you're just worthless. So I want to show you for the Chinese Communist Party, social credit is an attempt at a softer, more invisible authoritarianism. The goal is to nudge people towards behaviors ranging from energy conservation to obedience to the party. Nudging people without having to see the enemies of humanity have gotten so intelligent now, is that now it becomes more easy to spot oppression when you see the military out on the streets and they're pointing guns at people. Like, for example, Tiananmen Square, which is of course banned in China, by the way. The very famous scene of the man standing in front of the tank and the tank trying to go around and he goes in front of it. That's Tiananmen Square. And that was what, 1989 or so? Quite a lot has changed since then. It's been slow, remember? We had the 73 quote, then we had Tiananmen Square, 89, and now we're in 2021. Also, let me share with you another one. For the way Zima credit is designed, being blacklisted, because if they're nudging you towards a specific behavior as stated prior. So what's going to happen is, if you don't want to acquiesce to that behavior, you are going to get docked on the social credit score. The way Zima credit is designed, being blacklisted, sends you on a rapid downward spiral. Black Mirror episode, nosedive. First, your score drops, then your friends hear you that you are on the blacklist and fearful that their scores may be affected because you're just such a terrible human being. You may not agree with the government. And, that can't be tolerated when you're dealing with communism, Marxists, socialists, fascists, Nazis. Quietly drop you as a contact. So these friends will just no longer want to talk to you because they're just, you're going to rub off that bad juju on you. And it will happen, by the way. The algorithm notices and your scores plummets further. Good old algorithms. There's a reason why I've never created a Facebook account. Being in technology for 24 years, you start to understand that privacy is very important. I like privacy. I mean, I wouldn't have come out publicly if I didn't feel like this was a important need to speak out against this nonsense that we're dealing with. So you see what's going on here. So it plummets further. So what's going to happen is that you could be considered in quote unquote terms like a dissident. But what's going to happen is they're going to nudge you towards a better score. How? Well, keep lowering the score. You're not going to be able to get on the good train. Literally. The ones with the lower score have to ride the slower trains in China, by the way. You'll see that also in the Truth Stream Media episode documentary. So you can buy homes, you can go to good schools. So if this is, and again, why am I talking about this? Because there's a vaccine passport rolling out. I'm sure you've heard of that. I knew this was coming back in March and April of 2020. I tried to tell people, they didn't believe me. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Not a conspiracy theory anymore. And so what are we trying to do here? What we're trying to do is we're trying to understand that what are the dangers of of this social credit scoring system, because what they want us to do is become good soldiers and obey and toe the party line, right? So I would like to show you a NBC News clip, a look inside Chinese social credit system. NBC News.
In Chongqing, we hooked up with Huang Weijun. He had a business until he was sued by a client, and Huang refused to pay 90 grand to settle it. So the court put him on a social credit blacklist, and things got way worse. He explains that being blacklisted means he can't buy airplane or train tickets. When he tries, a message pops up saying he's discredited. By the end of last year, blacklisted people were blocked from booking 23 million flights and 5 million high-speed train trips. And the list goes on. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job, a loan, a hotel room, or put kids in certain schools. Then there's the public shaming. Photo galleries of blacklisted citizens. There's even an app that shows who around you is in debt. In China, being monitored is nothing new. But algorithmic surveillance makes it possible to collect data to build detailed profiles of people, especially the ones not loyal to the government.
So the ones that aren't loyal to the government. You see with this vaccine passport, I mentioned it. I already told friends, family since last year. It's going to be a QR code. It's already being beta tested out in China. It's been running there for a while. And knowing how, computerized systems work, network systems, and just systems overall, it won't be very challenging to get your vaccination record that's on a QR code on an app on your phone, and to tie other parameters through APIs, which are like ways of connecting towards other like third-party systems and integrating multiple aspects. Financially, credit score, financial credit scores, the legacy one, and integrate those into a entire system, which is essentially that's the part of the end game as well. So let me also provide you. Is this something that is this just a Chinese thing? And by the way, Chinese the people of China are really nice people, right? They have been in a bubble for many years now, in the sense of like a bubble of authoritarianism, where they're not allowed. Google, if you go look this up, Google actually helped China with their censorship, like I think it's called Project Dragonfly. I think they also said that they didn't do it. Stop the nonsense. They did it. Right. And that's why they're doing it now to the American people, because they got experience with Google, with China. So they implemented the censorship parameters within China. Isn't it so easy now to see how all this fact check is coming out, and misinformation, disinformation nonsense that we always hear, when in reality, when we're actually speaking the truth, it's labeled misinformation, disinformation. Anybody speaks contrary to the party line, or what the narrative that they want to be the mainstream narrative, is going to be considered a dissident, misinformation, disinformation. You're an idiot, discredited, right? That's pretty much been the standard operating procedure for a very long time. So is this just a China thing? Or is this something that could be, coming to other countries, to a theater near you? Well, look no more. I'm going to show you something that recently just came out in Canada. This is the tradecommissioner.gc.ca, the Government of Canada website. China's corporate social credit system, how businesses can prepare. Really? China developed the corporate social credit system to ensure corporate compliance and improve behavior of companies doing business in China. It is part of the People's Republic of China's plan to build a single standardized reputation system for local and foreign firms alike. All right. How the CSCS could affect business. CSCS, Chinese Corporate Social Credit System, or Chinese Social Credit System. How to prepare, get help. So think about this. We have a pandemic right now. So the pandemic has brought what about? The vaccine. The vaccine, a lot of people have taken it. A lot of people still haven't taken it. So how would this apply to businesses, you think? Well, we hear it on the news all the time. The pandemic of the unvaccinated. People who won't take the vaccine hesitant, anti-vaxxers. So what's going to happen now is for businesses, are you employing vaccinated people only? Then you're going to get a great score. It's like your Better Business Bureau score. But it's not going to really revolve around like the business aspect of things and the product or the services provided like the BBB actually does. This is going to be revolving around, are you doing what we want you to do? We want you to hire only vaccinated people. So let's say you have 50% vaccinated and 50% unvaccinated employed with you. Well, guess what? You're going to get a bad score. So the proof is in the pudding here. This is not some random website. It is the Government of Canada's website. Also, maybe many of you have actually seen this website. It's kind of already been here for a while. People maybe haven't noticed. There's a website called MyLifecom. Reputation matters for everyone. I'm sure at some point you may have typed in your name into Google and you've seen this link with your name on it, and then you go look on it and it gives you a lot of details about yourself. They've been collecting this data. They're getting this all prepared so they can all roll it out when the time comes. Once everyone's all fully vaccinated, either voluntarily or forcibly, unless we stop this. I'm showing this for a very specific purpose. A lot of these liberals and Democrats are like, yeah, you should get I got the vaccine. You should get the vaccine. Yeah, let's implement a vaccine passport. They have no idea what's coming on the backside of this. They have no idea. They will never be allowed to think anymore. Okay? They were not going to be allowed to think, freely think, should I say. Critically think. And if you'd like to speak and use your own logic and your own thought process to kind of make sense of something and it doesn't go to the narrative, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get a bad score. So MyLife.com, look. Oh, poor Christine Davis. This is an example, of course, by the way. Christine Davis, 34. I said, oh, she's got a low score, 2.89 out of 5. Court record. Oh, she's a criminal. Oh, so she's a bad person. You see what's going on here? And, the funny thing is, as I'm making this video, I typed into Google just Chinese social credit score. Chinese social credit. I just hit that. Just right now, live. October 8th. And top stories. Are social credit systems coming to the West? Well, it's already here. I mean, Canada's technically the West. This is what they're doing. They're introducing it to us, right? Predictively programming us that it's coming. It's coming. So when it does come, you'll be like, oh, okay. Really? Are you going to really sell yourself and your family and your children that short? That you're not going to think this through? Like I said, these liberals think that it's going to be like an it's these Trumpers, right? This is how they control you. Tribalism. It's been going on for centuries. Tribalism. We get you in this Republican camp. We get you in this Democrat camp. Or the black, if you're black or you're white. Or of a Catholic or a Protestant. They get you in this game of like tribalism. So you like, okay, it's like sports, right? I like basketball. I like the Rockets, right? The Houston Rockets. But, and I want to see my team win. So they feed off of that tribalistic mentality, so they can have us follow sports teams. I want my team to win. I don't want your team. I don't like your team. Or if you've got, for example, there's a team in the same state that, there's a rivalry, right? So these kind of concepts are there. So are social credit systems coming to the West? The social credit systems that operate in China are not unpopular with the Chinese. Oh, they love it, and you'll love it too. Well, that is the conclusion you will come to if you read the research. Oh, really? Well, I guess after you brainwash them after enough time, maybe they don't even realize what's hit them at this point. It's just business as usual. I'm giving you tomorrow's news today because this is coming in. And if we don't put a stop to it, this is going to be very dangerous, right? Very, very dangerous, because now the oppression is no longer so overt. It's being done in an invisible authoritarian style. We're going to modify your behavior. We're going to turn everybody into snitches. Everybody's going to turn into a Tekashi 6ix9ine. If you don't know Tekashi 6ix9ine, you should look that up. He became the face of snitching. And what is it? Los Angeles Mayor Garcetti, when the COVID pandemic began last year in 2020, you know what he said? He said, snitches get rewards. So he wanted you to tell if businesses, those terrible small businesses, were open when we told them not to be open because we're the government. It's very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. But come on, man. That's just a conspiracy theory, right? There's no such thing as a Chinese social credit scoring system. It's not coming to the West. You have nothing to worry about, right? Stay tuned for the next one.